Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show.
Here we go.
Yo, what up? How's it going, brother?
Dude, did you just what up me?
I did. I brought it all the way back to 2001, man.
I love it. Let's bring it back. I love it. Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 63. These next 3 weeks are going to be really interesting. This is going to be the hot seats. All right, we're going to go hot seat with myself today with Pace or Jamil. Who's next? You? And then Jamil is the caboose?
Jamil's got to be the caboose, man.
He's got to be the caboose. I thought he should be first, but we'll get into it. We'll have some fun. So this is a chance for anybody to ask whatever they want, and just kind of deep dive. I think it's a really interesting concept, right, Pace? Because it's, on this show, it's about answering these questions that we have about wholesaling property. But I think understanding people's journey, understanding people's life, understanding how they grew up and what made them, I think, is not only relatable, but it's also something that you can look at and be like, oh, very interesting. That's why he is like that. That's why he does things this way. And it's different than Pace and it's different than Jamil. And plus, along the way, we're going to answer a lot of questions and make sure that people are out there doing deals, because that's really what this show is about, is to give you the tools and the resources and the personalities to feel confident to go out there and actually, talk to distressed property owners and find opportunities. What do you think, Pace?
Well, I think the most important part is about the show is that you're part of a community learning from people that actually have been through it, and not just have been through it, but people that are currently doing the business now, right? And Brent Daniels is somebody that I have taken coaching from, right? Like I joined TTP. I'm a TTP alumni myself. And so I believe in everything that Brent Daniels does. And I think it's interesting because every 3 or 4 months, I notice about 20 to 30% of our audience is brand new, right? And what that means is that they haven't heard the other 63 episodes that we've done. And if they haven't heard the 63 episodes that we've done, then they also don't know the nuances of each individual person's, relationship with real estate, how they get in or how they got in, what struggles they went through, and ultimately, how did they become who they are that you see on the screen today? And knowing that really does make a big difference to who you're listening to, right? It's the same thing in a movie. There's character development. You don't just, turn a movie on and then all of a sudden, you know who that character is. It takes 10, 15 minutes for you to understand why you should be paying attention. And it's the same thing with Brent Daniels today, right? Understanding why Brent is who he is, where he came from, all of those things are critically important. Somebody I look up to. Brent has changed my life and continues to change my life. And so I think we should go into it, because here's what ultimately my team got on me a couple of days ago about some of the YouTube videos that I make.
Yeah.
They were like, that's the lamest YouTube video of all time. And I said, you know what? Here's why I made the video. And it was a video all about why I don't hire a very specific type of person, right? Or, people that DM me, right? You get a lot of DMs, Brent, that are, I'm sure people will say these words to you. Brent, I want to work for you for free. I will do anything for you. Have you ever gotten those DMs?
All the time. Yep.
Right. So I made a YouTube video specifically addressing those people so that my team could send them those links. And so for me, the way I look at Wholesale Hotline and doing the spotlight and interviewing everybody is so that we can, if somebody says, hey, why should I pay attention to this person? They can go watch the episode that deep dives on that character's origin story. And the reason I call it an origin story is because, in my opinion, Brent Daniels is a freaking superhero. Okay. He does have an origin story. So, Brent, I see Jamil in the background. He's just getting caught up from a meeting. So I want to jump in without Jamil in here, unless he's going to pop in here right now.
Whenever he's ready, pop in.
Love it. So Jamil, you just pop in whenever you can. No big deal. I can see you there in the back. Oh, he can't. For some reason, he can't jump in.
There you go.
Oh,
What's
interesting.
up, guys?
You couldn't get in?
No, it's okay. I got the wrong link from my team. All good. How are you?
Hey, bro.
We are amazing. We're doing it.
How are you, man?
Hotline 63 hot seats.
Woo!
We're gonna get deep. We're gonna go
So
real deep.
Today is Brent Daniels, and we're gonna be going through Brent Daniels' origin story, and then letting people in the audience ask questions specifically about his journey. There's one part of Brent's journey that I really resonate with. It's about halfway through his real estate career when things did not go so well. And I'm looking forward to, nitpicking that apart and understanding that a little bit, because we got into it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but we got into the trials, the tribulations of all three of us. And Brent just very, very lightly glazed over top of this. And so I want to deep dive on that a little bit later today. But Brent.
Yep.
What year did you get started in real estate, my bro?
I got into real estate in I read this book right here, right? Like most of us. I read this one, and I've got all the stuff set up here so that everybody could get a full picture of what I read this in college, right? Mike Mahoney, who, if you guys have seen my live show on Wednesday mornings, he's the producer, and he asks a lot of questions, gives a lot of clarity to that show. But he introduced me to it, and I read it, and I was just like, this is amazing. This is totally different. This is something that I've never learned before. And that took me down the rabbit hole of Think and Grow Rich, right? That one went, and then I got into this one, right? From our good friend Dolph DeRoos right there. Real Estate Riches. He sold 2 million copies of this. It's kind of a little bit outdated at this point, and then I got into this. I read this one. And I was just kind of filling myself with all of these good ideas, good thoughts on what real estate was, but it didn't really show you or teach you how to find deals. It was just kind of telling you the benefits of being a real estate entrepreneur. And
how did you even get that book, the first book, Robert Kiyosaki's book, in your hand? Did somebody tell you about it, or was it
Mahoney? So Mike Mahoney read it. It was tattered. He gave it to me, and I went through it, and we were like, we got to do this. So we partnered up. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy how many times that book has touched somebody's life? That is the most crazy book.
Well, in our industry, it really is. I mean, listen, you either read that book and you're like all about real estate, or you're like, meh, you know what I mean? Like, there's no in between with Rich Dad Poor Dad. You're either like, I understand the value and the overarching, like, universal benefit of real estate, or you don't. Like, I've had plenty. I've given this book to every single one of my friends, my wife, everybody, and it either hits you or it doesn't. And that's why I love this group. That's why I tell everybody all the time that I love them, because we're similar. We're freaks. We're weird. It's a small group of people that read something like that, and their life has changed forever. It's just a small
Brent,
group.
Here's the challenge with that book, right? That I see is that book doesn't teach wholesale real estate. It doesn't teach the low hanging fruit. It doesn't teach how do I get into real estate. Here's some actionable items. So, and same thing with a lot of those books that you just talked about as well.
Yep.
Right. Some of those are outdated, even though Dolph DeRoos' book is really, really good. So at what point did you get your first, actionable item in your brain where you go, I have to take this step? Was it becoming a real estate agent? What was it that actually made you take action into real estate?
That's why I love what we do, guys, right? Pace and Jamil. Like, we get to break down the vocabulary every single week, a lot. On our YouTube channel, we get to break down the vocabulary, because when you first get into real estate, you don't really understand what is earnest money, what is an escrow period, what is private financing mean? What does hard money mean? What does an inspection period mean? What's a home warranty? What is an assignment? All of these things are not normal everyday language. Like, you start throwing out those type of things at a barbecue or at a some sort of like kids soccer game, and people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Right. So it's just, we're fortunate that we get to like kind of express and break all these things down. But in 2003, actually, there wasn't YouTube, right? There was infomercials at night, of some dude like blinging out and being like, do you want to be like me? Learn how to do real estate. There was Russ Whitney. There was Dolph DeRoos. There was Robert Kiyosaki. And that was kind of it. And it was all like, hey, if you want to get a deal, either go door knock or, put out classified ads in the newspaper. That was it. And maybe some direct mail. Right. So I didn't understand any of it. I felt very overwhelmed. I felt very nervous to even try to talk to somebody about real estate. So I decided to get into real estate school to learn the terms.
That's an interesting thing, because I, think that we're all super, super lucky to even know what we know, right? And we talk about it every single week. I even look back and I went and got my real estate license, something nobody knows about. I went and got it. I never did anything with it. I never even hung my license with a broker, because I thought, this is where my question's going. I thought that when I went to real estate school, I was actually going to learn something about real estate.
Right.
Right. So is that kind of what your thought process was?
And I like what Mark wrote here. Carlton Sheets for sure. And Robert Allen. And you know Robert Allen, right? That was it. That was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And it was great education, but it was not instruction. And going and getting a real estate license, I thought you would learn how to find deals, opportunities, that type of thing. And really, it's just, there is a huge, and this is something that I get, and I'm going to go on a little rant here for a second, guys. This is something that I get all the time. Whenever somebody is listening to a podcast, watching YouTube, or live at an event, you need to put it through that filter. Is this entertainment? Is this education? Or is this instruction? All right. Because the instruction is the stuff that you write down on a pad of paper and then you go take action on it. The rest of it is to inspire. It's to go get into your, kind of get the right mindset, all of these things. And that's fantastic. And I love that. But where is the meat? Where is the actual, if you do this, you are going to be successful at what you're trying to do. Right. That is like what I go through. I filter that through every book, every podcast, every YouTube, every seminar that I've ever been through. What are
those three items again? Let's say it one more time.
It's entertainment, education, and instruction. Those are the three filters.
Right? If I'm brand new, what do I need more?
Instruction. Well, I'll tell you what, this is interesting. I love this question because I think we have to get our mind right first. And I think that we have to wrap ourselves really, when you look at any challenges, and let's be honest, starting out as a real estate investor, as a wholesaler, as a real estate entrepreneur, there are a lot of challenges. But you have to put it and look at, is this an internal challenge? Like, do I believe that I can do this? Do I have a chip on my shoulder? Do I have a big motor to be able to do this when I'm done with my 9 to 5? Can I do this after work? Can I do this on the week? All those things. That's internal. External is what we're doing on this show right now. It's squatting up. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with people that have never done real estate, think that it's a scam, think that it's like a get rich quick, think that that's just for wealthy people that have money, right? Or are you surrounding yourself with people that are like, you know what, anybody can do this, and I'm going to go out there and try. And then the third part, you got internal, external, and then philosophical, right? Do I believe that what I'm doing with my life is positive? Do I believe that what I'm doing right now with my efforts is going to make a difference to my family, to my legacy, to my mind, to keeping me, engaged with it? Am I really, really, really excited about what I'm doing right now? And am I doing good work for my fellow human beings, right? For my community, for this place that I live in, right? That's all the three things, the internal, external, and philosophical. You're looking at all of those. And I think you need to get centered, and you need to have the belief in yourself first that you can do that. And that took me a while. That took me a long time, Pace and Jamil, because I was young. I was 22. Right. And I didn't know anything about it. My family didn't have a real estate background. My family didn't have a business ownership background. I was out there on just uncharted waters in my life. And I decided that I was going to make a run for it. And
what's cool about that? The 22 comment.
Yeah.
What's cool about this is that you have students that I've interfaced with and I've bought deals from that are 19, 18, 20 years old.
Yep.
And so what you've gone through and turned around and given people such great instructions to completely overtake you. When you were 22, you didn't have the right mindset, but you've been able to turn around and help people at 18, 19, 20 and beyond, obviously, get that right mindset because you've gone through that valley, right?
Well, and honestly, and I'm going to bring this reel back. This will take 3 minutes, but like I led a very comfortable life growing up. I never had a job, right? The most important thing to me growing up, and just maybe just the way that I was made, was I liked controlling my time. I liked controlling my efforts. I liked going after things that interested me. I didn't want people to tell me, you need to be interested in this, so go get good at this, right? Unless it was a coaching thing that I was trying to go for. But it was always something that I wanted to have control of the things that I did in life, right? Not control over other people, just a control over my own schedule. So, what that brought to what that was allowed me to do was, if I played sports growing up, I didn't have to get a job. That was the rule. If I got good grades, I didn't have to get a job. So I lived that. But the problem was I was still hungry, but I wasn't like as hungry as I became in 2009. You know what I mean? And we'll get to that. But it was an incredible upbringing. You know, I grew up, we'll start all the way back, and then this will take 2 minutes. I was born in San Diego on September 1st, 1981. Okay. I was born Brent Michael Anderson. All right. My biological father and my mother split up when I was like 9 months old. My mom is a single mom. I was sleeping in the tub, right, in the bathroom at my uncle's house, and it's fine. I was a baby, whatever. I don't remember any of these things. And my mom got a job as a secretary at Honeywell. Well, her boss was Dave Daniels, who at 2 years old adopted me. And, you know, I became Brent, and I feel so incredibly fortunate for that. So
Bro, I've never known that once.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took a Wholesale Hotline episode 63 for you to tell me this.
I get. I mean, listen, it's like on these shows, on these things, it's about you guys. It's about the audience. It's about the questions. It's about helping you guys get better. So going that deep and whatever, it just doesn't. It feels weird to me. It feels a little bit.
Yeah, but think about that, Brent. I mean, a lot of the people, that are trying to get that mindset right, they think, well, I didn't come from the right upbringing. I didn't come from a rich family. I didn't come from a pedigreed real estate background where my parents were real estate agents and had real estate. You know, I was with a kid. This will take 15 seconds. I was with a kid today for about 45 minutes, and his uncle, who he works for, and his dad, who he also works for, both make $20 million a year right now in doing apartment builds.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And I'm like, are you joking me?
I think he's got
on to those freaking coattails. So the reality is you didn't have coattails. You slept in a bathtub.
Yeah.
There is no more humble beginning than that, right? Single mother, not having your own bed. So I'm just saying, you didn't have that, hand holding to get you into real estate. You had to figure this out and discover this out on your own.
Right.
And so you get adopted. How old were you? 2?
2.5. Yeah. I was 2.5. Parents got married. My biological dad was like, hey, listen, if Dave wants to adopt him, I'm cool with that. He didn't want to pay the child support. So we were off and running. And life was full of love. Every day when I went to bed, my dad would say, you're the best Brent. And I'd have to say, in the whole wide world. when we sat down for dinner, we'd sit around and we'd go around the table. What's one nice thing that happened to you today? A lot of love, a lot of optimism, and a lot of you can do anything that you want. So if you have
that's amazing, dude. You're making me want to say this to my own kids.
Yeah, well,
you're the best, Brent. And then you would have to finish the sentence by saying "in the whole wide
world." Yep. And we do that, and we do it now, right? So, with our kids. So, it was a lot of support. It was a lot of, reading is cool in our house. It was a lot of be active all the time. Make sure that you're running around doing things. And then from there, it was just support. And I was good at things. I was good at sports. I was good at school. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and was off and running. And then because of that, and the reason I kind of like lay this landscape out is because that led a lot of issues in my early 20s of a lot of serious ego issues, a lot of serious peacocking. A lot of, I'm going to drive this Range Rover. I'm going to drive this Mercedes. I'm going to I'm going to get this big office space. I'm going to go and build a big brokerage and do all these deals and all these things, and not keeping any of the money myself, spending it all, not investing it all, and losing it all. So that's why I'm so hot whenever we talk about people keeping money for themselves and taking money off the table. Even with you guys, we have this conversation, taking the money off the table, paying yourself.
Brent, just in the last 24 months since you told me this and like sat me down and you go, hey, I got to talk to you. Just in the last 24 months, you've probably added $10 million to my portfolio.
Yep.
An extra $10 million. So just in 24 months, because of that and me rethinking the way we do our accounting, with the profit first model, and then you challenging me on stuff. When I would say stuff in our little micro mastermind, I made this much. You go, yeah. I don't care about that. I care about what's your take home. What did you pay yourself? That's the number I care about. I was like, I don't quite know. And you're like, you need to fix that right now.
Yep.
It's life-changing information. And I know we'll get to that because that's actually one of my favorite parts of your story. So we're 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 2004 is when you went to go get your realtor's license.
I did it in 2003 while I was in college, and then activated in 2004. Yep.
Okay, so you activated in 2004. Where did you go? Where did you hang your brokerage? What brokerage did you go to?
It was a company out of Washington at the time that was growing here in Phoenix called Windermere. Yeah, Windermere, and they had a great broker there. And it was 2004. You guys all know the market was going bananas. So it was easy to help.
So were you a buyer's agent? Were you a listing agent? What was how'd you start getting money in real estate?
Yeah, it was just friends and family, people wanting to buy and people wanting to sell. And it was a great market, and people were finally coming out of kind of like a weird 2000.com bubble that kind of crashed, and the economy was goofy. And then all of a sudden it was going straight through the roof. And people were like, wow, my house is worth what? It was worth 190, 6 months ago. And now it's 300,000. So it was just, it was a good time to get in, but it wasn't investing. It was purely just representing people.
So you learned a lot, but going through that time frame, did you feel like I'm so happy in this field, or did you feel like you were missing something, especially when you go back and remind yourself that you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Because Rich Dad, Poor Dad would basically be criticizing the real estate agent model, right? You're working and you're trading your time for money.
Yeah, I just, at the time it was a whirlwind, and I think a lot of us get caught in this. If you can start making some money doing something, all of a sudden it's hard to stop that. It's hard to get out of that whirlwind that you're in, because if you do, well, first of all, what I did, I'll just say that is I got a car payment. I got a mortgage. I got a lady, right? I was, it was just out and about, and that was the first time that I could go to nice restaurants. And I didn't buy the lady, guys. Okay, it wasn't like it was a relationship. Okay, anyway, and just all of these things, you start making money coming in, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to put 30, 30% over here for taxes, and the rest I'm going to go bananas. And that's what I did. I just went absolutely bananas and just kept spending and spending and getting into more and more debt, and thought that if you owned real estate in Phoenix, it would always go up. It was a smart investment and nothing bad would ever happen. So that's what I did. And, when you have all these expenses, then all of a sudden you have to stay in that whirlwind.
Yep.
Because you have to be able to pay for those. You like
Right.
those things. You're flossing. You're 23, 24. You're driving up, going and seeing your friends from high school or college, and you're like, what's up? This is my Audi A4. I'm the man. Look at me. German car. Pretty cool. And then a Mercedes. Pretty cool. I make
Did
money.
you have
Blah,
people
blah, blah.
working for you underneath your team? Had you built out a team at that point?
At that point, we had started, Mike Mahoney and I, in 2005, got the great idea to open up our own brokerage. So in 2006, we opened up a brokerage, and it was just modest. We were just trying to, get new agents in, younger people that were coming in, and we started growing it. And all of a sudden we had 50 agents, and then we had 75 agents, and it was going well. And we were cruising, and we were like, you know what? We need to open up a big office in North Scottsdale. Because if you're in North Scottsdale, baby, that's the, high priced houses. You need to have a nice central hub there so that you can get access. So you got some street cred in that area, and feel real good about, I was wearing a suit and tie. I was going to Nordstrom. I was getting fitted and tailored all the time. I was just walking around. Yeah, you got it, Jamil. I was walking around like this. I was making calls all the time. I was just like totally like enamored with that, Boiler Room movie, and I was like, that's it. That's what I want to create here. I want to create something that's high energy. People are getting a lot of opportunities. People are calling, being proactive, and it's going to be amazing. And this is going to be what just is the runway for my life.
So you go and sign a big fat juicy lease, right? What year is this?
I signed a 10-year lease January of 2008. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And this is for 9,000 square feet at the Scottsdale Air Park. And one, you have to furnish all that. Jamil knows what I'm talking about. And two, well, now you know what I'm talking about. Your house is bigger than my office was now. Pace.
Yeah, I just furnished
that,
my
brother.
guest house, and I was like, oh, wait, I think I'm going to just leave the rest of the house empty.
Yeah, exactly. But, we had to do all these things and get all the, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I need to have insurance for what? Oh, okay. And I need to get a copy machine. Dang it. I got to get a copy. I got to get 2 copy machines. I got to get internet, high-speed internet. I got to buy these computers. I got to outfit all these, little cubicles and everything. And all of a sudden it was like $80,000. And I was like, what am I doing? I pay myself only $10,000 a month, because you keep it all in the business, right? You don't want to take too much home. You want to keep it all in the business. So I kept $10,000 a month paying myself, blah, blah, blah. And it went all out the doors. It was totally bananas. And then in September, October of 2008, the whole market crashed. I mean, everything
freaking
crashed.
Bottom fell out.
Yeah, everything fell out. And
well,
so
I'm sure
I
your landlord let you out of your 10-year lease, though, right?
No, I signed without an attorney review, without anything. I was like, dude, this ride will never end. Let me sign this little personal guarantee right here. Perfect. Yes. Okay. Boom. 10-year lease, personal guarantee. So when you don't pay that, guess what happens? They sue you. So
and they go after you personally.
What's that?
They go after you personally, right? For the judgment.
They went after me personally, $742,000 judgment. And I was, it ended up being 2009. So what? I was 28.
So 28 years old, you just got an $800,000 judgment put against you.
Yep.
And then that's when you quit, right?
Yeah, I just quit. Yeah, that's it. No, I mean, here's the thing. The interesting thing was I had bought 5 rental properties that I thought were great. Right. It was just great. So I bought those. Then the tenants stopped paying. The adjustable rate mortgage increased to like 3 times what it was. And I foreclosed on 5 properties. And that was very, 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 it was a huge hit to my ego. It was a huge hit to just my life, to my like energy, everything just shut down. And during that time, by the way, I wasn't exercising as much. I wasn't sleeping at all. It was just go, 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 foot on the gas all the time. And I just turned into somebody that I'm not. I turned into somebody that was anxious and stressed and unloving and very, very, I was trying to almost like pull in and wear the skin of somebody that was like a high executive that I saw in a movie or something. You know what I mean? Just really pushing and doing stuff. And it was just totally out of character. And it was a nightmare, couple of years. It really was. And it took a long time for me to build up my confidence, to build up enough hunger and enough chip on my shoulder to get after it again. Because I was like, you know what? After going through all that and just being a young man and being stupid and going out and trying to, catch the real estate world by its tail, and it didn't work. It felt like huge failure. And I was very just
so
hide.
Go back before the crash. Was there ever a point with you and Mahoney, right? Boots Mahoney, I call him, because the first time I ever met Mike, your partner, he had these freaking rain boots on in the middle of summer. And I was like, okay, his new name is Boots.
Yeah.
But anyway, your partner Mahoney and you were, building out a big old team. You're about to sign a lease. Was there a point in the middle of that where you were like, "What am I doing?" Or were you just like so convicted in your commitment?
Couldn't be stopped, Pace. I couldn't be stopped. I felt bulletproof. I felt absolutely bulletproof. I felt like everything that I touched turned to gold. I thought that I could peer around corners. I thought that this talk about the economy breaking down was just nonsense. I knew more. Look at all this development going on in Phoenix. Look at the housing prices. It'll never end. It'll never end. And it was just naive. It was naive, and it was a lot of ego mixed into, hey, I can do whatever. I'll be able to get past through, whatever. I could jump any hurdle. I could do anything. And it just wasn't the key. It just wasn't the case. It wasn't the case at all.
So is there any actionable advice or anything right there for anybody else that's maybe in their business and they're crushing it right now? Because look at what's going on in our market.
Yep.
Isn't it very reminiscent of 2005, 2006 right now in real estate? Not just Phoenix, but nation freaking wide.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, what we were doing back then with the loans and it being unregulated and nobody
but
and all that.
What are the unknowns that we're not aware of right now, right? Like, look at the pandemic, what happened there. Now, the pandemic ended up working in our favor.
Yeah.
But it very easily, with maybe a couple of different things, if the government wasn't printing money, it would have been the worst economic failure of all time, right? So who knows, right? There might be a black swan event in the next 12 months, the next 24 months, the next 36 months. Who knows? I know everybody's going to argue, including me. Mortgage rates are so low, and people are really vetted now when they're getting loans. Oh, okay, I get it. But it doesn't stop a black swan event from happening. Okay.
Yeah.
So my question is this: people in their business, me included, Jamil, yourself, what's some advice, looking back at your younger self, what's some advice you would have given to yourself at that point regarding money, regarding the way you don't get too greedy? Is it read profit first? Is it, hey, sit down with a CPA? What is it that you would have done differently financially to prepare for some black swan event?
Yeah. Number one, I mean, here's the thing. Listen, if the government, if the Fed just decides to turn up interest rates just a bit, purchasing power goes down. All right. I mean, it's just going to go down. I mean, there's going to be just look at the real estate market. It goes through cycles, whatever. Right. But beyond that, one, when you make income, you need to first of all, you need to pay off your consumer debt, right? If you can't buy a car cash and you need a car, great. Once you get that check paid off, right? All these things, all these anchors that pull you down financially and make you make decisions that you wouldn't normally make because you have to keep up the paying all this debt off, this ridiculous, you are now a consumer, you're not an investor, right? All of that stuff. What I would suggest to anybody is pay off all your consumer debt and buy a ton and just get rid of your money. If it's sitting in your bank account, you're going to do something stupid with it. You're going to do something stupid. You just are. So take that money and either pay off your mortgage, pay off any debts that you have, pay off your student loans, pay off anything that's charging you interest, that's making you essentially a financial slave to it, because you're literally putting in effort. You're literally providing value to the marketplace to get income, to then give that income to your debtors. Okay? So get rid of that. Don't get over your skis too much. Don't look at all the Instagram stuff. Just stay in your lane. Keep your head down. Stay focused. Take that money and get rid of it. Get it out of your business and put it into an asset. Buy some real estate, because you know that it's going to be, you're going to be protected there. All right. And then from there, just keep going. Just keep building, and just understand that it takes a lot. It takes a lot to have $1 million. It takes a lot to have $1 million net worth. It takes a lot to build up all of these things and all of these assets. So that $10,000 check that you're feeling is like the biggest thing in the world. Like, you got to do a lot of those. You got to do 1,000 of those to make $1 million, right? So just stay humble with it, put it away, pay off your debt so that you're not a financial slave. And just keep providing value. That was my problem. The other thing was, I wanted to hire people all right away to go be agents for me, so I didn't have to go be an agent, right? A lot of people go, oh, I'm going to hire right away for this cold callers because I don't want to do that. Or I'm going to hire right away acquisition managers, even though I only have 2 leads to follow up. I want your cup to run over so much that you can't possibly keep up with anything. And you need somebody to help you out and give you support, and to hire somebody then. And if
that's
you do,
a good piece of advice. That's a great piece of advice right there. That's a common question. When should I hire an acquisition manager? When should I do this? When should I do that? And my advice very frequently is that, which is, are you overwhelmed? Is your cup running over and you need the help? You need an extra. It's like putting a cup on top into a bowl. It's like, yes, get the bowl, right? Let the bowl capture the flow. So, question on the screen, and I know, Brent, you and I have talked about this a good amount. I don't know where you currently stand on this. Are you buying everything with cash?
No, I did, and I like that, and I like buying residential, but I did just buy a commercial building with a loan. So, okay. I mean, it's interesting. I think that there's smart ways to get leverage, but also I think that if you're in a position to buy something cash and it's a property, you just have a lot less headache. It just depends on where you're at in life. You know, do you have a lot of other things going on that takes up your brain power? You know what I mean? And if you do, then buy something cash and don't go buy 15 rentals right now. You know what I mean? You can get there. There's seasons in life. We're going to be here for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, you can decide. And I think right now the season that I have is buying more property and putting really good debt. I'll probably go at like a 50%. Jamil, can you say something so people don't think that you're like punished or in like a timeout box or something?
Yeah. We're just taking our turns here, guys. I'll get to my questions next.
Awesome.
Love it. So you go through 2008, right? You're devastated. You're not yourself. Obviously, you lose all confidence. Anybody else that went through 2008 knows that everybody became a different version of themselves. And you guys are going to hear a great story with Jamil as well. 2008, if you were in real estate or construction or anything tied to real estate, you're done. Like, you are a completely different person within 90 days, right? When you found out, do you remember, was there a time when that was going on that you remember where you were, what you were thinking when you just said, oh shit, the bottom is falling out? Or was it just all a haze?
I was sitting wearing like a ridiculous 3-piece suit. If you guys can imagine it, right? I had like a Fossa knob tie. I had the whole suit. It was a wonderful Italian cut. It was great. I was sitting in my Mercedes and I was like, oh, I probably am not going to keep any of this. It's like, it's over. You know, I'm probably not going to keep any of this. This is all fugazi, right? This is all fake. This is all, just whatever. And I knew that I had not kept the money that I had earned. I knew that I expanded way too fast. I knew that I was financially responsible for a lot of people, the dozen people on our staff, let alone the 70 plus agents that we had. And it was probably the lowest that I've ever felt. because I felt all that. I felt it to the marrow in my bones. And it was totally just completely devastating. Yeah, just devastating.
So do you think that, going back, if you had not gotten into real estate, like traditional real estate, do you think if you were a wholesaler, knowing what you know now, could you have survived 2008?
So we were doing some wholesale. It was really interesting. So at the time, it was Mike Mahoney, myself, and then we had two business partners that were Polynesian. One was Tongan, one was Samoan, Isi and Talima. Great people, incredible people. And they had a lot of family, and they're very tribal, and they wanted to go out and hit the doors and knock on pre-foreclosures. So they would go out, and at the time you'd have to print out a list, and they would print out a notice that said about the county recorder's number and call us. And they would leave these leave behinds. And we were able to wholesale. I didn't really know what it was. Like we would like close on it, but then sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes we would just assign it to somebody, but I didn't even know what that was. That was like their whole side of it. They were doing more of that, where ours was like the brokerage side. So I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew that it was good. And then there was no equity. Right. So that's the fear, right? If there's no equity, how do you get wholesale deals? Right. When our market went like down 65, 70%, right, Jamil, somewhere around there. And when you do that, everybody has no equity anymore. So you can't go in and be like, okay, I'm going to buy this thing for 50 or put it under contract for 50 and sell it for 70 when they owe 150. You know what I mean? So it turned out that all the properties were then going to foreclosure. So I did enough talking to people and seeing if anybody had relatives that had some money that they wanted to buy properties with and split the deals. And we ended up finding a buddy of ours whose grandpa sold his share in a lumber company, in a framing company. And Jim Younger came in and gave us a couple $1 million to buy properties. And we went to the foreclosure auction and flipped about 60 properties. And that's kind of what kept my head above water a bit, through 2009 and 10. And then all of the big hedge funds came in and bought up all the properties at the auction. So I was out of that. Yeah.
So 2010, what are you doing? How are you making money? How are you putting food on the table?
Very, very, very badly. Yeah. 2010 was my lowest easily. 2010 was really, I think I made maybe 22,000 the whole year. Right. And I was just feeling bad, and I was just not myself, and I wasn't doing it. I was just totally not anything that you see here. Right. Not anything that I wasn't picking up the phone. I wasn't being proactive. I wasn't, the fire was out, man. The fire was out. And then, found out that I was going to have a baby, and boom, all of a sudden that thing fired back up, and, I scratched and clawed my way out. And, the next year in 2011, which my son was born, he was, I had gotten up to where I was making like 80, 90,000 that year, just doing traditional real estate. I called up a favor, and somebody was listing all of the REO properties, all the foreclosure properties for the bank. And they allowed me to take the sign calls. When you call a sign on a real estate sign, I was the guy answering those calls and calling everybody back and showing people properties for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, just trying to make it happen. Just trying to make it happen. I was going on the MLS for rental properties, guys, like lease properties. And I was posting them to Craigslist, getting leads for people that wanted to see these rental properties and getting the commission, the $200 or $150 or $75 commission to write up a lease for people on these properties. I mean, that's how bad it was. That's how low it was.
Bro,
I mean,
let me jump in there and tell people how tough that is. So Laura, my wife, when we first met, 2011, 2012, same time frame, she worked for OnQ Property Management, and they gave her they were like, we don't want to deal with any of the tenant stuff because there's no money in it. So Laura would go do literally 18 to 20 leases in a month, she would bring in $2,500. And then we would track her expenses, her gas, her cell phone, her car insurance, her, her food when she's traveling, her print paper, her internet, $2,400.
Yep.
She was working for free. Like that is,
Yep.
it's so much harder to do that than it is to do traditional real estate.
Yep. Yeah.
But you were looking for any opportunity at the time.
Any opportunity. And by the way, every 3 months, every quarter, I had to go in, and the attorneys for the judgment would do a financial statement to see where I'm at. I'm driving around in an old 2002 Lexus ES300 that my dad gave me. In 2010, by the way, we had the worst hailstorm in Phoenix, and literally baseball size hail destroyed this whole car. I couldn't get it fixed. I'm driving a sand colored ES300 that had 1,000 dents on it. And I'm meeting strangers to try to show them and sell them houses.
Bro, do you have any photos of this?
Huh?
Do you have any photos of this?
I'm sure. I'll try to find.
Bro, you gotta tell somebody to find you a photo.
I don't know. It was really bad. It was really bad. So
too good. Did it break your windshield?
Oh, it broke the whole back out. Not only that, Pace, it broke the back out. It shattered the supple leather seats from 96 or whatever. Totally tore it apart. The upholstery destroyed, right? I couldn't put anybody in this car. I had to meet people. I had to tell people no, I'll meet you at the property. Can't drive you around. It was crazy. Pipes, yeah, Paul, you get it. I mean, I'm telling you, it was like one thing after another. And I've got this baby. And then I'm having problems with his mom because I'm seeing signs that this kid, Seamus, my oldest, is not functioning the same way as other kids are that are kind of his age. And I'm thinking something's going on here. And as you guys know, at least, I mean, he was diagnosed on the autism spectrum severely, and it's been a challenge.
Okay, so let me pause here real quick because we're about halfway through. I want to just pause and just do a synopsis. So you're a real estate agent. You build a big brokerage. Yep. We've got well over 300 people watching, and in the very beginning, it was 250. So we've got 75 people in here. I just want to make sure we recap them. Okay. So you go build a big brokerage. You're hot shit, and you've got an ego the size of Mount Everest because you think. I've never heard this, but I love this. You said I could see around corners. Yeah. So you basically felt like you knew what the market was doing. You were unstoppable. You and your partner, Mike Mahoney, go and aggressively sign a 10-year lease on a 9,000 square foot building, and not only sign a lease, you sign a personal guarantee.
Yep.
Market crashes. That's 2008, 2009. You're grasping at straws. You're just doing anything you possibly can just to survive. You're now in 2010, 2011. You get a hailstorm, destroys the only freaking car you have.
Yeah.
To the point, guys, and pay attention to this, because there's a lot of people that have this excuse too. I don't have a car, or my car looks like crap, or whatever else. I want you to understand, Brent has also came up with excuses to not show people his car. Okay. Yep. He said, I'll meet you at the property, or, hey, let's do this, so that people wouldn't see his car. He was that embarrassed by his vehicle. Now, the guy owns a ranch and all sorts of amazing other things. So looking at him today, you wouldn't guess. I didn't know this. I didn't know you had a jalopy. I didn't know you had a 2002 Lexus that got destroyed by hail damage, right? So then you have a baby. You find out your son is now autistic, which adds another challenge, right? Yeah. And I've met your son. He's an amazing, beautiful boy, but still his energy level, believe it or not, is actually higher than yours.
Yeah, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
It's you times 3. Okay. Yeah. It's you times 3. It's lava, right? He's got energy through the roof, which is amazing. And you guys have done an amazing job. He's so fun to be around, and he's such a lovable kid. But when it's your first son, you don't have money, you don't have assets, you have a jalopy for a car, you find all of these things out. Bro.
Yeah.
I want to make sure everybody understands that there's nobody on this screen that hasn't been through stuff. Okay. So this is now catch me up to what year this is, 2011?
So this is getting into 2012. This is the start of the turn.
Okay. Were there any moments of maturity, anything that you were reading, anything that you go, I got to snap out of this, I got to make more money, anything that was happening around this time frame?
Yeah, I mean, just when you find out that you're going to have a child, it snapped me in. And then all of a sudden I was like an animal. Like you couldn't get me to stop. I was there early in the office taking calls. I was showing properties all over the place. I was going bananas. And that was something that I knew was in me, right? I knew that if my back gets all the way, Tom Kroll has that great saying that, being at rock bottom is great because it's a solid foundation, right? I don't know if that's his or whatever else, but
you need to have a dedicated book just for all his amazing stuff.
I know but literally it was rock bottom. And I was like, you know what? You have all of the potential. You've been you grew up in a wonderful, loving family. You're sitting here feeling sorry for yourself and not going to work. It's time to change that. And just like that, literally, that's how fast it took to change. Just like that. As soon as I found out that we were going to have a baby, I was like, that is it. That is it. So, yeah. We just go.
So what's the next step in your journey?
So then then it's 2012 and I'm like, you know what? These the foreclosures were drying up, right? So there wasn't as many sign calls. So I decided to join a real estate brokerage called Green Street Realty, and that was owned by Derek Jar, and he was phenomenal. I had seen him and I were like competing to build a brokerage back in the day, but he went through the roof and I went into the dump. And so I went to join and see what he was doing. And that was the first time that I was around a real estate broker that was an investor. And he was like, hey, if you go out there, I go, how do I find really good deals? He goes, just go out there and knock on doors. And if you find one, I'll buy it. So that's what I did. And that's how I did the first deals. And he ended up assigning those and made $92,000. And I made a 3% commission on it. And that's when I discovered what wholesaling was in 2012, in the end of 2012. And then it started creeping in 2013. I started doing more.
Make a 3% commission.
Yeah.
I imagine there's a lot of real estate agents that see this, you know, all the time. You get a 3% commission and homeboy makes $90,000.
Yep.
So how'd you find out? You look at the HUD.
I looked at the settlement statement. Yeah, I looked at the settlement statement. I was like, "What is this? What is an assignment fee?"
Were you pissed?
He goes, I sold the deal." And I go, "How do you sell it? You don't even own it. How do you sell this?" And he goes, No, I sold the paper. I sold the contract." And I was like, "You can sell the contract?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like any contract? He's like, "Yeah, unless it tells you can't." And I was like,
what would you have done to be a fly on the wall in that conversation when TTP figured out that he could assign any contract?
Yep. And then I was like, okay, we're off and running. So we're knocking on doors.
Hold on.
Yep.
He tells you what an assignment is. He makes $90K. I know your heart. Like you're probably... Wouldn't you agree, Jamil, that Brent Daniels has like the heart of gold and platinum interlaced? Like he's an unbelievable human. Yes, so sir. I can't imagine you were pissed off at this guy.
No, did you it was an educate. I was just educated. Now
walk us through that. Walk us through. Did you say, bro, sit down with me? What book should I read? I need to know more. Did you say what YouTube channel? Because TTP YouTube channel didn't exist back then.
No.
So where did you go to get the information? Because
it's the same advice I give to this day, and it's always a sleeper, and nobody ever really thinks about it. I called the title company, and I said, "Hey, what paperwork do I need to have to assign a contract?" And they go, "Oh, I'll send it over to you." And I was like, "Okay, is that it? Like you just assign it and then you just pay an assignment fee?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And it was just that. I had been in real estate for 9 years, and had no idea. And once that Pandora's box opened, bro, I was going bananas. And the beautiful thing about being at a brokerage that has an investor as the owner was we had a LexisNexis account, so you could do skip tracing. So I would drive around. This is before all the apps. This is before all the goodies. I would write down the address. I would pull it up. I would get the number, and I would hand dial and call these people up to get deals. And it was shooting fish in a barrel. And it just started getting bigger and bigger. The mistake I made early on is I only thought that there was 3 cash buyers in town. And then I met Jamil.
Yeah, this is actually one of your big stories, right? You kind of felt like you were married to a couple of these cash buyers. They kind of
100%.
dictated everything. Like you felt like you were kind of in prison.
Well, it was just, we were friends, we were friends and things went smoothly and I sold it. I didn't know that there was more cash buyers. I didn't know that there was more people out there that were looking for deals. I was just like, I'm really good at finding them. I just talked to people all day long. That's all I did. I'd go to the office and call. Oh, got to go on the appointment, get the contract signed, and then sell it to, 90% of it to Iman, right? So, I mean, it was that and selling it to Derek and selling it to Kyle Brown at the time. You guys know that name. And that was what it was. And I thought that it was fantastic. I was making like $12,000 a deal. Well, if you come from the real estate world, that's like a $400,000 sale. And I was doing that like every week. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And it just kept going and going. And I was transitioning out of doing traditional real estate deals and going more into wholesaling. And at the time I had the partner, Dustin, phenomenal guy, but he was more of the traditional flipper construction background. And I was more of the hunter. And I felt that I was hunting more than he was. And it ended up being really kind of like, I was always looking over my shoulder, like, wait, you're going where for a week? You're leaving for this weekend? You want me to do the appointment? Like all these things, it turned into like a bitter situation. And that's, kind of my, what evolved into my thought on or experience with having a partnership. And I think that people should have a hard line as to what they want to do with that relationship. And if it's a traditional wholesale business, I think that there should be a point where you part ways and see what happens.
Okay, so a couple questions. One, I want to bring this up to the audience because, guys, think about this. We talk about like people giving you value. It took Brent this long in his journey to figure out what he currently teaches, right? He went through the mud. He went through all sorts of pain, anguish, self-doubt, anxiety, stress, waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh my gosh, how am I going to make my ends meet? How am I going to pay all my bills? What am I going to do? Desperately taking sign calls, right? You were taking sign calls to pay your bills. Yeah. So guys, in the comments, and I'm loving all the comments. I have not been able to click on all of them, but give me some of your favorite things that you guys have learned from Brent over the last years. I get comments all the time. People DM me still to this day. You and I did a YouTube video like a year and a half ago. They're like, this was the best video I've ever seen. And I'm like, bro, Brent has way better videos than that on his YouTube. Guys,
no, that's a good one. We need to redo that one.
That one is a really good one. Yeah. Guys, in the comments, please give Brent some love that he got all the way through this point. You figure out what wholesaling is. Now, here's the thing. Did it take you, were you like abruptly, I'm done with traditional real estate? Or were you so involved in traditional real estate that it took you a while to just decide, I'm out? Where was that severance? Where did you guys finally break up?
Yeah, it was, in 2016, I heard of the thing called podcasts and I found Wholesaling Inc., which is crazy because now I'm on Wholesaling Inc. twice a week, which is just a dream come true. But I heard the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, and that really was kind of the transition. That the year before we did about $250,000 in 2015. In 16, we did 750. So that changed everything. And then Tom's like, hey, how are you getting your deals? And it's 2017. He's like, well, we're going to do a conference in April of 2017. Why don't you come talk about how you get deals? And so I had somebody draw up this logo, put it on a t-shirt. It took him 2 seconds. I think it's just a normal font, and went up and talked about TTP and how to cold call for opportunities and how I felt that was the best way to get deals as fast as possible. And that was April 17th.
I want to highlight something here real quick, because a lot of people will ask, how do you become a coach? Where does that come from? I'm going to tell you where it comes from. The best coaches did not make a choice to become a coach.
Yeah.
Okay. It was pushed on them because of their success, their hard work, and people noticing how hard and how many deals they're doing. Okay. And that's what happened with Brent, is that Tom mother freaking Kroll of Wholesaling Inc. noticed your success and asked you to come and speak. You didn't have a logo. You were like, you know what? I'm going to throw this thing together real quick.
Yep.
You got people's attention because you were doing business, right? And I see a lot of people educating. Look, I love that people are passing on information, but guys, make sure you are learning from somebody who is doing the business and have been through this. Brent didn't wake up one day and go, how can I become a coach of real estate? It was pushed on him because of his success of TTPing. Now, I'll tell you guys something really quick, because I want to hear about this conversation with you and Tom, because I imagine there's a transition there coming up.
Yep.
But TTP became so big, and it is so big, that it actually changed the entire dynamic of the way home investors, the We Buy Ugly Houses people, do their marketing. Okay, so I'm in Dallas, and we're in a big marketing meeting talking about 1,100 franchises nationwide, and they keep talking about this TTP guy. They go, you know what it is? All of our contracts are getting more and more expensive in direct mail, because before our sellers even get a chance to open up their mail, some TTP guy is cold calling them and teaching everybody across the country how to cold call.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm telling you, Brent Daniels changed the dynamic of a $1 billion company because he got invited by Tom Kroll to go speak at an event.
Yep.
Those opportunities to change the world don't come from just waking up and knowing the right person. They came from going through the anguish, the heartache, et cetera, et cetera. So let's pause there for a second. You go speak. Was TTP a logo? Was it something you were saying in your office at the time? What was TTP at the time?
Yeah, that was always the philosophy. As long as I noticed when it was 2010 and 11 and early 11, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Like, I do nothing. I haven't touched my phone all day. I haven't done anything. Nothing was happening. There's no action. There's no opportunities. What's happening? And then as soon as I started picking up the phone and going after it, everything changed. Everything changed. My confidence changed. My fear of failure changed. My anxiety changed. My stress changed. My income changed. Everything changed because I just used this thing for what it was intended for, and that was talking to people. So it just became my thing. Talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. And then I started getting these, right? All these books. These are only the ones that I brought into the office, but I would write down every single day, I'm going to make $10,000 today. I'm going to make $10,000. Everybody's seen the Grant Cardone ones. I'm going to make $10,000, all the appointments, all the goals, all the everything. I was going and going and going, and I needed this to anchor myself mentally to be in a position to take action, because I knew if I just got out of bed and just did whatever and just hoped that I would do something, it would just not happen. So I said, I'm going to make $10,000. I'm going to make $10,000. I'm going to make $10,000. And it stuck with me. I still think that every single morning.
Okay, so
I don't write it down every time, but what's
Brent,
that?
on your books, because there's a lot of people that are not going to want me to skip over those books. Okay.
Yeah.
Not the ones on your right, the ones on your left.
Yeah, it's just, listen, it's just a journal. They're just journals.
It's not just a journal. It's your accountability, right? So let's talk about that. Was that just something that was ingrained in you from your parents or from coach, like football coaches? Or did you read a book? Or did you say, I need accountability, but I don't have it? Where did those come from?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's somewhere, whether it be just seeing somebody that was successful do it or just hearing about it. Probably, you know what? It might have been, I don't know. It was one of the books way back when that I read, and it's just write your goals every morning. Write your goals every morning, write your goals every night. And then it was intentional. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And then it turned, and then I read this thing, The Go-Giver. And I was like, okay, I need to provide $10,000 worth of value, $10,000 worth of value. How do I do that? How do I do that if I'm being quiet? How am I doing that if I'm waiting for people to call me? How am I doing that if I'm just sitting around? How am I doing that? You can't do that unless you're taking action. You can't bring $1 million worth of value, if that's your goal of income in a year, by being quiet. All right. Unless you're an inventor, unless you've invented something, but that's not people on here. The people on here are people that are out there and want to be real estate entrepreneurs. And our best tool is our voice. Our best tool is our experience. Our best tool is our ability to, at any point, strike up a conversation with a stranger and see if they would consider an offer on their property. And that's the change.
So I appreciate this. This little comment here makes me know I'm not sidestepping and interrupting you too much, Brent, but a lot of people are saying they're happy when
I just feel bad that Jamil's like, hey guys.
Well, what's interesting.
It's my turn. That's why I'm just staying quiet.
I'm sorry, guys. Just to be honest, the reason why I've kind of dominated is because honestly, both of you guys are my heroes, right? Brent, I didn't know you, but I knew what TTP was. Like, that's how prolific your hard work. I respect people so much that change the world and did it through hard work, right?
Yeah.
So you weren't given this. This wasn't just something that plopped in your lap and you go, okay, I guess I'll do this. You put in the hard work, and so you were my hero. You still are my hero. Same thing with Jamil. And when we get to Jamil's story, I'll tell you guys how Jamil changed the world, not just in my life, but so many other people's lives. But Brent, TTP precedes you, bro. Like, yeah. It is so far. The ripple of TTP is 25,000 ripples away from where you dropped that first stone.
Yeah.
It is amazing what TTP has done. It's almost become a machine in and of itself. And that's why I've dominated the questions, because Brent, truly, I'm like enamored with your story. And I didn't know a lot of this stuff. I really didn't know a lot of this stuff. And which is another testament to you, right? That you're not going around tooting these horns, and you're just still putting in the work and still providing the freaking value. Name somebody in real estate that provides more free value than Brent freaking Daniels.
Well, I got two guys next to me here, but
dude, come on. You are so good.
That's definitely something I like to harp on, or to like accentuate here, because the fact is, Brent, is you see a lot of people in this position where they've gained influence, they have people's ears, and all they want to talk about is, I'm from nothing, or look at how poor I was, or look at how shit I was, and now look at this amazing vehicle I drive. This isn't about anybody. This is about everybody.
Yep.
Right. And that's cool. If you have a violin story and that's the badge you want to play, then by all means play your violin. But Brent, I think everybody appreciates the fact that you left the instrument at home, and what you do is you come out and just play value.
Thank you.
That is amazing.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had to think about this all day today, because I literally have a real tough time looking backwards. I really do. Like that whole it feels like a different life or a different person. You know what I mean? Like, it really does. Like, it just doesn't, it took a lot to like kind of bring up. Maybe I took too many hits playing football or something, but it's tough for me to look backwards and like go to that place. And I don't know, it's just, I think that people try, as you say, Jamil, time travel too much and dwell too much in the past, and it doesn't serve you. So when I speak about whatever on YouTube or podcast, it's in the moment. It's right now. It's what's happening. What can help people out there so that don't have to go through the things that I went through. And some people take the advice and some people don't. But Yeah.
Okay, so I want to keep this going because we've only got 20, 25 minutes.
I got a laundry list of questions as well for Brent. So
Go for it.
Okay, let me ask
Let me read this real quick for Michael Campbell.
Michael Campbell. Where is that? Where is it? Where is it? Why don't I see that?
It's under Jason there.
I don't see it.
It says bell ringer for Michael Campbell. Anyway, go ahead, Jamil.
There it is. There it is.
Let Pace finish up.
So my last question, I'll shut up. Ciara just asked the question. She said, at what point did you start sharing value and content with others, Brent? Was it after you did your first deal? Was it after you realized that you actually knew a thing or two and you weren't going to deviate people in the wrong direction? At what point, after reading The Go-Giver, right, because you've already led into that, you read The Go-Giver, you realized you needed to provide value, $10,000 of value, not just to your sellers, but also to other people. So was there a point where you said, I'm ready to start sharing content?
This is hilarious. So I'm in the Wholesaling Inc. Facebook group. I'm posting these checks, right? You know, just it was really interesting. It was a smaller group and everybody was really supportive, and you'd post checks and it was just like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is, I got this from cold calling, got it from cold calling, got it from cold calling. So Cody and Tom go, hey, let's do a podcast. But let's just say that you got the deal from door knocking, not so much cold calling. Have you done a deal from door knocking? I was like, yeah. He goes, let's talk about that, because cold calling is like way too controversial. And I was like, what? Why? And they're like, well, you know, I don't know. Maybe people will just try to make calls and they'll get in trouble. And I was like, for what? You could talk to an attorney. I've talked to plenty of them. You know, it's all good. You know, we're not doing anything negative here. And they're like, well, whatever. So I did this podcast and then I just kept posting the group, and people would DM me like crazy. So I was already coaching, and Tom's like, are people DMing you? And I said, yeah. He goes, okay, we need to have you talk. Have you thought about coaching? And I was like, yeah, sure. So that's kind of the transition there, but it was much after. I mean, I think you gotta go through it, right? You gotta have, it can't just be surface level stuff, because surface level stuff, I mean, that's not a coach. That's a product, right? That's a $500 product that you buy from somebody that just puts together a course. You know, coaching is much different. You got to have the chops. You got to have the experience. You got to have the emotional resiliency to really love the people that you're coaching and to support them and do those things. You guys know that. I mean, but it's that's the difference. That's how coaching came about. And some people do products, and that's fine. And some people are coaches.
Jamil, I'm going to shut up.
Well, Pace, I just appreciated you extracting all of that from Brent. Those are amazing questions, brother. And Brent, thank you for, diving into that history. I know that's not always easy to do.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it, because as a lot of folks said in the comments here, they need to hear it. People need to hear it, because a lot of what folks are going through right now in their lives, you went through. And that resonance, that capacity to see the example of the man going through it, transcending the situation, is inspiring and motivating.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that. And it leads me to my first question for you, which is in regards to what routine you have to your daily routine to maintain that positive mindset, because I know that that's just not born out of pure unicorn dust.
Yeah.
That positive mindset comes from daily work.
Yeah.
Because I do the work myself, right? And so I'd love to ask, what is your daily routine for maintaining that positive mindset you have
Currently or back then?
Yes.
Okay.
Both.
Well, yeah, and this is something that I think that you guys really see in me just behind the scenes is I do not hang around with negative people. Nope. I won't talk to them. I won't be around them. I am like, I will do anything to get away from entitlement. I will get away from anything from complaining about things that you can fix, about not taking personal responsibility, about not wanting to have an open mind about things. I do not I just don't. That's why I don't watch the news. I don't get the newspaper. I don't do any of that stuff. I think that it's just it's manipulation. It's not influence, you know. And I think you really have to figure out in life: are you getting influenced or are you getting manipulated? Because most of it's manipulation. Real influence comes with wonderful friendships. Real influence comes from people that have the same values, that have the same openness to share, that have the same like love for people. You know what I mean? So I think getting rid of negative people is number one. From a routine standpoint, I just talk to
what if your wife is negative?
Well, then you have to,
or your husband.
Then you have to see, is it internal, external, or is it their philosophy? You know what I mean? How are they, what lenses are they wearing to view the world? Right. And listen, I've been divorced during the 2009. That was part of it. And I've been and then I had a child with another person, and then I married Aaron. So listen, I'm not the best to like whatever, but I was very, very, very fortunate to find somebody that understands that I want to do something special and different, and not just stay within, you know, the lines that, you know, the schools and college and job kind of put you in. So, and it's a different life. You have to have somebody that has the chops. You have to have somebody that understands that I'm going to take a text message or make a call on a Saturday or whatever. And luckily I found that. But, you know, if you have to see, are they just unhappy with themselves? Are they unhappy with like life? Did they come from is their philosophy all beat up because of their parents, because of their environment, because of whatever? And then are you able to stick it through and work with them and show them through your actions that life could be better and you can make income and have freedom of schedule, and maybe you turn them around.
Love that. Love that. We kind of went over this. I think Pace asked the question, but I want to dive into it a little deeper. How did you know that active lead generation was the game-changing pivot for you?
I didn't know better, Jamil. I had no money. Like when you have no money, you can't market. So what do? You can go. It costs nothing for me to walk out of this building right now and go knock on a door. Nothing. And I could find opportunities. That's how I found my opportunities. It costs 15 cents to get an address skip traced. You know what I mean? And then just picking up the phone and going for it. I mean, I was rock bottom, man. Yeah, I had to. There was no leads getting passed to me. There was nobody, you know, feeding me opportunities. It was like, go out and hustle. And you know what? I fucking loved it. I loved it. You know what? It pulled me out of like real close to like depression. You know what I mean? Like real, like, wow, that's real rough there.
So the activity of getting out and doing it is what pulled you out of that shit spot.
You want to destroy fear and anxiety and stress? Be in action. Go be in action all day long and feel stressed. I'm just telling you, when you're doing it for yourself and you're finding these opportunities and you're really working and you have some optimism, man, you're unstoppable. You get electric, you get goosebumps. You flex all the time because you're just like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the shot. This is the opportunity. And it is. And we've seen it time and time and time again. I interview 2 people a week on the podcast that you know, changes their life. And you guys know, I mean, you guys have a bazillion testimonials. I mean, it's just life-changing, this business. That's why I want to be so loud. I want to be so loud so that people understand that it's here and that you can get rid of a lot of the negativity in your life by being in action and talking to people.
Love
and
that.
I think it solves a lot of problems between people that maybe aren't aligned. If you talk it out and communicate effectively, you're going to win.
Belief is a necessary ingredient to achievement.
Yep. And I think that's what my parents put in me. You know what I mean?
Yep. So you were lucky because you had, and you are, and always will be the best Brent in the world.
Right. The whole wide world.
The whole wide world. But for a lot of people that didn't have that kind of upbringing where they were just told how special they are and how important they are to the world on a daily basis. How do you cultivate belief until you achieve?
That is something that I'm not the best. That was something that was planted in me before I had the conscious awareness of it. I think that's probably a better question going to you, Jamil, and your work that you've done on mindset. But I think that if you are surrounding yourself with really incredible people that are going to celebrate you and cheerlead your success and understand what you're going through, and you squat up and have a community, that helps. I think putting in really, really good things, really good books, really good podcasts, really good Audible, really, really, really helps. I think getting somebody that's going to be in your corner and support you and coach you really, really, really helps. And I'm not just talking about us three. I mean, there's local meetups of freaks like us that get together all the time and talk about real estate. And, I mean, I think you got to surround yourself with people that are really, really, really positive. And I think a lot of people get that from church. I think a lot of people get that from the Bible. I think a lot of it get from whatever religion and whatever like basic fundamental moral guidelines that we get. It's all out there. And I think that as long as we're tapping in and make a conscious effort of really improving ourselves and not saying I need to be better tomorrow and just working on it. Sometimes it's a lifetime of working on it. There's a lot of scar tissue with a lot of people. You know what I mean? But I think if you surround yourself with people, you're going to be in a much better position. Come on. I got to read this. Come on.
That's amazing. 106K deal.
Wow.
Bananas. That's bananas.
How has TTP bled into other aspects of your life?
I love that you asked this. And I think that this is really important. And I was thinking about this and I wasn't really sure how to kind of communicate this, but every time that I go into a room anywhere, I don't care if it's a restaurant, I don't care. And you guys do this as well. And anywhere, I just feel out personalities. Okay. I feel out and I'm trying to find out, are you an analytical, a driver, a expressive, or an amiable personality so that I can be versatile in the way that I communicate with you. Okay. If I go real bombastic, if I go crazy, and this is something that I learned after talking to 45,000 people over those 3.5 years that I made calls from 9 to noon every day. All right. Like it was like, you have to be able to communicate, and it's not just in a room. You could do it over the phone, but you got to be versatile. You got to understand how are people communicating. And then people are like, wow, this person's really interested in me. I'm really interested. I want to know what that personality is so that I'm not there offending them with like my tone or my words or my, subject matter. You know what I mean? So that's how it really bled. Talking to people helped me understand. And I challenge everybody. Everybody needs to understand and the mental antennas have to be out, and you got to be feeling it out and understanding who are these people? Where are they coming from? What is their personality type? And then it'll make you a much more effective communicator. And when you're effective at communicating, it makes people feel more comfortable. And when they're comfortable, you can build really amazing relationships with people that you have nothing in common with typically. And you can find something there. It's just that commonality of being a human being and being on this planet and being fortunate that we have the ability. Like Seamus is nonverbal, right? So he does not speak. He has a lot of challenges, a lot of things that we go through. It's one of the reasons why I've decided not to travel as much, just because his stepmom, my wife, Erin, is at home with him and our youngest, Bo. Bo, if you're still watching, I love you. And it's just a lot. That's why I don't travel a lot. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that it causes a lot. I mean, it's a lot anyway. But just being fortunate to be able to use your words to like navigate through life, it's a blessing. And some people don't have it. Some people can't.
That's incredible. Do you think that watching Seamus struggle with that really reminds you of that blessing every day?
Every day. Yeah.
Incredible.
Every day.
Wow, Brent.
Yeah.
Who, dead or alive, would be on your personal board of advisors?
Oh man. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I hope. He seems like a pretty cool guy. I don't know. It's personal board of advisors. I think are more like, who are the people that you are going to get the most out of in life, not just in business. And I would, my parents are phenomenal. I'm very fortunate. My dad would be like chairman of the board. He's just so loving and intelligent and consistent. I think that friends like you guys, I mean, just putting the people that really matter on there. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not a big celebrity, guy. I'm not, they just seem like human beings to me. And I think that being a coach is really kind of like shined a light on that. You know what I mean? Like we're just human beings. We're just people, we're just doing things. And maybe we're on a TV screen more and our human brain is like, wow, that's something that's unique. But I don't know. I think just the great people that I surround myself with. I've got a great team. I got a great family. Got great friends, and a great community here on the show.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
If there is a story that you could replay in your mind day to day, right? Because my thought process is that's how we survive. That's how we gain meaning out of the world. We interact with the world through our stories, right?
Yep.
If there was a story that you could tell yourself and you could just basically play it out in one sentence, because I think that if there were more people in the world who told themselves the story that Brent Daniels tells himself every single day, that we would have a planet full of amazing, beautiful human beings, what would that sentence be?
I'm the luckiest guy ever, and I want to share. Man, I just want to share it. I feel lucky, and I want everybody to feel as lucky as I do.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Brent.
Yeah.
I love you, bro. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for changing Pace's life. Thank you for changing all of our lives. Everybody here on Wholesale Hotline, we are indebted to you. I know that I feel that way, and we heard that Pace feels that way, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people all across the world, not only in America, but all across the world who feel the exact same way about you. You are one of the most special human beings ever, Brent. I love you. Thank you so much for everything you do. Pace, if you have anything else for Brent.
I have so many. Really important question for me. Brent, I get to spend time with you. Jamil gets to spend time with you. But I don't know that the audience knows this part of you. What is your driving motivation right now? Like right for me right now, where I put all my goals is in my notes app on my phone, and I update it every 30, 45 days. And it's kind of fun to just check off my little goals and maybe challenge myself to create bigger and bigger goals. Is there a target that you see out 5 years out in the future? Like maybe owning 500,000 acres in Montana or something like that. Is there a final chapter to the Brent Daniel book that you're looking and anticipating creating?
Maybe not a final chapter, but in the next 5 years, $40 million from a professional standpoint. The next 5 years, that's just from a financial standpoint. From the other side of things, I'd love to be a great sports coach for Bo, my youngest. And just keep providing a great environment for Seamus to learn and grow. He's in a great school. He's learning how to talk through a little iPad thing, which has been really great. He doesn't self-harm anymore. So all these things, just a natural progression of what's going on there. I'd love to spend as much time with my parents over the next 20 years as possible, because, they're in the, fall of their life, right? And winter's coming. Type of thing. So I just want to spend a lot of time with them, with my in-laws. Love to spend a lot of time with them as well, and just live life on my schedule. You know what I mean? And that schedule is wonderfully involved with a lot of texts and calls with the TTP family, and I couldn't be happier.
What's great about that is that like 90% of that has already come true. Right. Yeah. So like you being able to spend time with your parents, I know we've been lucky to spend a lot of time with your parents as well and get to know them and go to parties and even see your parents up at the TTP ranch, right?
Yep.
And lifestyle is an important thing for you. Very, very important. Would you mind sharing your weekly schedule real quick for people that just, I get this question all the time is like, when do you wake up? When do you go to bed? You know, those types of questions.
Yep.
And I understand why. I saw a YouTube video of Mark Cuban talking about his daily routine. And I was like, I'm going to watch this 5 times. I was so enthralled. So what's your weekly routine? Are you working 6 days a week? What does that look like?
Well, listen, let's be honest. As entrepreneurs, we're always working. Okay. I mean, if we're not working, we're thinking about it. We're having good ideas. It doesn't mean that we can't live in the moment with the people that we love. Nothing like that. But there's not like, I think I've learned as I matured that being in the office doesn't mean you're working. Right. So, you know, I've got my phone with me. I have the ability to text and call students every single day. Just depends on where I'm at. But every day I'm getting texts and involved in that. But from a schedule standpoint, I usually wake up about 7:30 and take the kids to school. I'm in the office by like 9:30 because our Bo in preschool starts at 9. So I'm in the office by 9:30 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's when I do content and podcast and the support calls and then reviewing any of the wholesale deals. And then Monday, I typically don't come in until after I work out at 1 o'clock. Sometimes I see Jamil there at the gym, 1 to 2, I work out. And then I'll come in here about 3 and do the show. And the rest of the morning I'm spend with my wife, which is wonderful because the kids are at school and we get to hang out on Mondays. And then Friday, I typically get out of the office. Fridays, the office is open for any TTP family members that want to come in because that's when my whole team comes in, my wholesaling team. We do a team meeting at 10 o'clock till noon. And then usually by about 2 o'clock, I'm out of the office heading to the cabin, heading to the ranch.
Amazing. You're living.
And I usually wake up about 7:30. I'll usually go to bed about midnight, and then from that time that you get home until the kids go to bed at 8, Bo, and then Seamus at 9, and then from 9 to about 11, I'm reading or I'm preparing for a video or a podcast, and then I'll watch a documentary. I'm big in documentaries and what's going on with construction and stuff around the world. So that's what I do.
Okay, Brent, what would you say if you could tell yourself going back when you created that TTP logo that one day Corey would be putting this on the screen and truly it means that same thing to thousands of people?
Yeah, I would tell him that 100%. Listen, when you're in a dark place and picking up the phone, having a phone and just calling people and finding opportunities gets you out of it and then brings you to something like this. Anybody can do it. Anybody. It's just, do you want to? That's it. Do you want to do it? Is it a must? Must you not be in that place anymore? Must you change? Must you get out of it and stop self-loathing and feeling in a shell of yourself? That's what
we
it
had
is.
A lot of people saying this was their favorite episode. We actually had a couple of people saying, "Don't tell me the show is almost over. I'm not ready for this show to end." This has been truly one of my probably top 2 favorite wholesale hotlines. Unbelievable. I learned probably a dozen things about you today. What about you, Jamil? Did you learn a couple things?
I did. I always learn a little bit. There are some things I knew, there are some things I knew that I didn't realize had affected Brent as much as I learned tonight. And just so thankful for your transparency, Brent, because in all honesty, a lot of times we don't get to hear that. We don't get to see that. We don't get to share that with people. Just the humanity of what goes on in our lives. We're even us three are giving instructions so often that we very often don't get to just be real. So thank you for that.
Well, and thank you for giving me the platform, guys. I think that it's important if you're following somebody, if you're learning from somebody, if you're taking people's advice and instruction, that you understand where it comes from. I don't tell people to keep all the money because I didn't go through it. It's because I did. I don't tell people to be proactive because it somehow benefits me. No, it's just it's an incredible way to improve your life. And I don't tell people to talk to people and break out of their comfort zones because it's a hot topic. No, it's because it affects every part of your life. And all of a sudden you get to be the person that's always been inside you. You're just letting it loose. You give yourself permission to let it loose, and it's just wonderfully rewarding. Wonderful.
Right. A whole bunch of people are curious. When Ingrid, who is here local in Phoenix, she's one of the sub 2 students. Is she a TTP student?
Ingrid,
I think she probably would have told me. So yeah. Ingrid is a realtor here in Phoenix, and she's a sub 2 student, pretty recent. Ingrid says, when are you coming out with a book? Everyone needs to read and hear this story. And dude, we've got like a dozen people saying the same thing. Have you thought about reading? You've read so many books. Yeah. Have you written a book that you're going to release?
No, I haven't. Potentially someday. I mean, I just, there's a lot, there's a lot of inspirational books out there. I'd rather write a book on how people can talk to people, but we'll see. I'm sure we'll sprinkle it in. I'll put a synopsis on this in the prologue or something. I don't know.
Okay, Jamil, I'm going to have you take us home, but I want to ask the audience one thing. Okay, we had about 400 live viewers today, and I wanted to ask the audience to take a photo. Okay, take a photo with your phone, tag Brent Daniels on Instagram, and tell him your favorite thing you learned about him today. I want to see dozens and dozens of Instagram posts saying, Brent Daniels, favorite thing I learned about Brent was today. Okay. And then through the week, guys, DM me, DM Brent Daniels, and ask us questions about Jamil. I'd love to get a whole bunch of questions stacked up for Jamil. Did you guys know his first deal, Brent Daniels, or not Brent Daniels, but Jamil was walking his dog for dollars? You guys are going to learn a whole bunch of amazing things about Jamil DMG, but today was Brent's episode, Mr. TTP. The reason both Jamil and I are here right now is because of you, bro. So audience, please do us a favor. Take a screenshot, take a photo, put it on Instagram stories, tag Brent, and tell him your favorite thing you learned about him this episode. Appreciate you guys so much.
And strap in. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Pace and Jamil are next week. Pace and the caboose is loose 2 weeks from now with Jamil. So make sure that you guys come, show up. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And close us out, Jamil.
Just appreciate every single one of you guys. Pace, all those fantastic questions. Brent, the transparency, your energy, your life. You are TTP living. If those 3 letters could have a face, they would all have your face. It's actually 2 letters. If those 2 letters could have your face, they would. But we all appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to Wholesale Hotline. This is one of the joys of our lives to be able to do this podcast for you guys, to ask the questions, to learn more about this crazy niche of wholesale real estate. And we just really appreciate you guys tuning in. We will see you all next Monday. Take care.
Love you guys.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say that thing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.